Bedroom, bathroom, anywhere you're sitting. Welcome to Vibes Entertainment Live. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the vibes. This is DJ Bigger the Teacher Set Speed. Greetings and welcome to Vibes Entertainment. Your host, DJ Bigger the Teacher. If you're sitting in your car or you're sitting in your own room, bedroom, bathroom, anywhere you're sitting.
When I rise this morning, I give praise in my in and out. Mr. Still I give praise. Come on, watch it, man. It's all representing for DJ Bigger the Teacher. Present a thing called Vibes Entertainment Broadcast. Live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Go and check him out. All the representing. I me say I abon the steamers. DJ Bigger. Watch the man.
Yes, I check. Greetings to you. I want to say, give thanks and praise unto the Most High Jah Rastafari. Aye. Let me introduce to you out of Texas. Yes, the sergeant himself, Sgt Romeo, you don't know. One of the great reggae ambassador in the western part of America, you know. Bringing the vibes, you know. The reggae music is spreading, you know. Yes, So let me introduce to you Sgt Romeo. Give thanks and praise. Introduce yourself, my brother.
Blessings, my brother. Give thanks for having me, you know. I go by the name of Sgt Remo. Not Romeo.
Remo, yeah. R-E-M-O, Remo. Sorry,
Yeah,
correction,
man.
Remo, yes.
Yeah, man, respect, man. I appreciate you having me on the show, man. You know what I mean? Much love and respect to you, Tracy, you know, for making the link here, you know what I mean? I'm glad to sit down and reason with you, man, you know?
Yeah, man, it's a joy and a pleasure to see we got a lot of reggae ambassador in different parts of the world, different nations could hook on to the reggae music and spreading it in a different way and different languages so people could understand and get the vibes of the reggae music. You got a slight resemblance to Nasio Fonte here. I don't know if anybody ever tell you. Nasio Fonte. Yeah, everyone. Nasio? Yeah.
Boy. Yes, of course, you know?
Yeah. So
Big artist, you know?
it's a good thing, you know what I mean, because Texas and the West Coast, I know the reggae music is real nice them sides, you know what I mean? So it's a joy to see you as an ambassador spreading the reggae music so that people could understand the message and the good vibes and the joy it brings, because reggae music never make you sad. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many different genres. Ska, mento, rocksteady, rubber dub. You know what I'm saying?
Only for them, man.
Only for them, and all of them sweet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, every
man.
one of them, you know? Every one of them fill your heart, you know what I mean, and bring you some kind of joy, you know what I mean? So, you know, big respect to all of the people that laid the foundation, you know, and yeah, man, like you say, you know, reggae is spread all over, you know what I mean? And over on this side, you know, it's been strong for a long time, you know what I mean? Although sometimes it seems like the scene is never strong enough, you know, but there's always ones and ones, you know, who doing the works, you know what I mean, and representing, you know what I mean, and just keeping it going, you know, because now more than ever, you know, we need this music and we need the message, you know what I mean?
Yes, especially in this time, you know, when you get great reggae music that people could listen to. The great, late Robert Nesta Marley say, when the music hit, you feel no pain. You know what I'm saying? And it's so true. Because reggae music get a sweet drum and bass. You know, the drum and bass, yeah, man, the drum and bass sweet. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
the foundation, you know?
And then you bring in the pick guitar, and then you start giving them some keyboards, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, give them the rhythm, you know?
Yeah, get the rhythm, you know what I mean? Yeah, so brother, just tell the people them where you from, where you were born, you know what I'm saying?
All right. Yeah, when I was born in Mexico, right on the border with Texas, you know, in a place called Ciudad Juarez, which is right on the border, you know, so it's a really unique environment, you know, living on the border towns. Um, there's always a lot of movement back and forth, you know, between the people, you know, from Mexico here and from here, people go there a lot, you know. So I grew up down there. Um, went to and I eventually I come over to the U.S. You know, when I was 9, I come over to the U.S. with my family, and we moved right across the border, man, to the next city, which is not really too far. You could see it, you know what I mean? But we moved there when I was 9, to a city called El Paso, and that is in West Texas. You know, Texas is a big state. You know what I mean? It's the biggest state in the continental U.S. You know what I mean? Other than Alaska, of course. Yeah, man, and that's where I grew up. That's where I first, get introduced to reggae music. You know, when I was in high school. You know, and it just catch me, man, from that time. And I just never really, every other kind of music, just kind of fall behind. And it was just reggae music from then, until now. And in them times I was just a fan of reggae music. I mean, I didn't really do music at that time, but the message catch me, the message catch me, and it just never let go.
It's such a joy and fullness to see that all the way from Mexico and the reggae music catch you and you spread the word, because a lot of people never know that Mexico get a reggae artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
and in them times, like honestly, I didn't really know too much. I didn't realize that in other places of Mexico, that reggae was making an impact, because I always felt like nobody else really listened to this. I felt like one of few people. But then years later, I come to find out that there was reggae kind of setting those seeds in different places of Mexico. But it took me years to find that out. There was people like me who find reggae, and it influenced them the same way. And then eventually, these same people, eventually uh, start becoming selectors and artists. And today, like Mexico has a really strong reggae influence. And I think all over the world, really, because if you if you living in situations like I was living in Mexico, with some serious poverty, and some serious challenges, you know what I mean? Then of course, when you hear reggae music, you're gonna gravitate to that, because reggae music always speak about them things from them times. Even dancehall, like even dancehall music, which is what I really first get into. Um, you hear the story, and that's what really catch me, because even though they were talking about what's going on in Jamaica at the time, it was a very similar story to what I experienced, growing up in Juarez. So from them times, man, it just catch me, man, and it's just such a powerful music, man. It's such a powerful music that it's influenced me and so many other people, not only in Mexico but really all over Latin America, because now that I get to travel a little bit more, I see that there's people just like me that started like in the late '80s, listening to some of that foundation music, and eventually, every one of these places has built their own scene, and now you see artists all over, you see artists down in South America, in Central America. Reggae is just such a powerful force, that has really brought so many people together.
yeah, man, because the way how you grow up and the things them that you see, and sometimes you might have in a show, you might be at a river, you might be just sitting chilling, and your memories click back. And I know right away you're gonna say, okay, let me put on this demo because, or remember this because there's so much stories and so much history. You still have so much to write. You now start writing songs because there's so much thing, because from the time you know and you get that sense and you realize what was going on in Mexico in your early days,
Hmm.
you wasn't even a teenager then, and
Oh yeah,
you
earlier.
you choose reggae music for spread the word and spread the story so that people could stop what they're doing and some could learn how to it, and you becomes a symbol for the reggae music in Mexico because you got a plus because you know Spanish and you know English. You
True.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in a way, my story is kind of unique, you know. Even though I'm not the only one, of course. There are many artists in Mexico today. Um, but I kind of have a unique story because, you know, I am Mexican, but at the same time, you know, I live here in the U.S. for so long. Um, you know, so I have that part of the story from Mexico, but I also have this part of the story from being an immigrant here in America. You know what I mean? That kind of makes it unique because there's a lot of reggae acts today in Mexico. Um, but there's not so many like me, you know, that live here in the U.S., sing in English, sing in Spanish. Um, you know, it's kind of unique kind of circumstance, you know, that is true, you know.
It's a great thing, and it helps you and motivates you more as an artist because everybody is vice versa. Everybody might not understand it in English. Some people might not understand it in Spanish, so you could sing it in Spanish. It's like the great Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez got that plus. She sings in Spanish and she sings in English. You know,
True.
when God bless you with a talent, there's no man upon his face of this earth could take it from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Really and
And
truly. You
so in over here, so what about your schooling?
Well, like I said, I come here when I was 9. You know what I mean? So I come into like elementary school here in the U.S. You know, go on to high school, graduate high school in El Paso. Um, you know, so that's where I do most of my them years. You know what I mean? You know, up to 9 years old, I go to school in Juarez, and then from that time forward, you know, I was in school here in the U.S. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, elementary, high school. You know.
Tell not to like 2.5 Kobe phone from the Bluetooth. Yes, 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 King. You see, so with air, you do you play any kind of instrument or so?
No, you know, I never get a chance to pick that up, you know, as a youth man, and I never really do it after, you know, really just voice, you know, that's my instrument, you know, that's what I sing from small, you know, even from when I live in Mexico, I used to sing, but you know, like any youth man, I just sing like the songs that my parents listen to, you know, a lot of traditional Mexican music that I hear coming up, uh, you know, but I never pick up an instrument, you know. All of my youths are musicians, but you know, I'm not a musician. You know, I just sing. You know, so
Yeah,
the vocalist.
but after time, like time goes by, most reggae artists always start learning to play the guitar. You know what I'm
True.
saying? Because when you play instrument, you automatically get an extra plus. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, keys and bars help you out a lot. You know what I mean? You
True.
know,
Yeah, man. And, you
yeah.
know, that's something that I can't say I regret. You know, but like I wish I would have picked it up. You know what I mean? And to this day, I never have. You know, but I do realize the value. You know, because I play with my band very regular, and you know, sometimes sometimes I can't speak their language, you know, and when you learn music, then you understand the language. So even though I know it because I know what I'm hearing, you know, and I know what key I need to be singing, you know, it's just a natural. I think everybody have that gift, but it's just a natural gift that you know what those things are, but maybe you don't speak the language. You know, that I can tell the musician like, oh, this is C sharp, or you know, there's a step up, you know, whatever.
Or A minor or something or B or
Yeah, you
something.
know what I mean. So I don't speak the language, but of course, you know, I feel it and I know it. You know, what I mean, I just don't speak that language, unfortunately. You know, but you're right. It's very valuable. You know, especially in what I do. You know. but
I,
some
I,
way
I,
somehow, man, I'm still doing it. You know.
I regret it too, you know. Every time
Okay.
I beat myself because I come from the Caribbean. I come
Uh
from
huh.
Guyana, 83,000 square mile. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And when we used to go to school, the teacher used to teach piano. It was time, and
Yeah.
he used to sing like ta fe ta te ta and all these things. We used to take it and make laugh, but we used to write the music,
Yeah.
and I used to get like 80 and 90 in music, but I'm so upset I never focus.
True.
And I always say if I could turn back the ends of time, man, I'm so upset that I never learned
True.
to play keyboard. But I now start learning. I get a
Okay.
couple of I got bass guitar, rhythm guitar, keyboards. Got a couple of things in the studio, you know. But it's like you don't have enough time to do this thing. It calls for sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Yeah. time. Time is
You got you
time is
got
so valuable, you know. But
you
you
got
know
you got
sometimes you have to survive, you know. So depend on the
you,
works.
yeah. You got reggae artist singer I really listening to, you know, singer I is a foundation reggae artist superstar from Jamaica. He's on the live. Um, Tracy Christie is on the live. A lot of people, you know what I mean? I got a big UK and Canadian followers. I got people all over the world, but this is celebrity singer Irie. Yeah, man, that was big
Singer
time
Irie,
superstar. Yeah, man.
respect.
Yeah,
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 respect. Thank you for tuning in. You know what I mean? Much love and
yeah,
respect.
yeah, man. So with that said, um, can you remember one of your first song that you like record and really put it on a record or a vinyl and sit back and then listen to yourself?
Yeah, like the first song I recorded was around 2000, 2001, you know. I linked up with these brethren. One of them was from Guyana, and another brethren was from Jamaica, you know, and we used to hang out, you know, and just play records. Um, one of my brethren from Guyana, Ali, um, he used to be a selector, you know. So he had a bunch of vinyl, you know, and he played the 45s, and then we all sing over them, you know what I mean? And eventually we get a little recorder and we start writing our own songs, you know. So those were the first songs that we ever recorded, you know. They were all like collabs, you know, between the three of us, you know. Sometimes it was just me and Mr. Blaze, you know, uh, and sometimes it was all three of us, you know. But them recordings never really get released, though, you know. Them recordings, because this is before, you know, you had CD Baby and all of these platforms where you can release music. Back then, if you didn't get signed to a label, you couldn't really release it, you know, because it wasn't accessible to us. And honestly, you know, when I still have them songs, you know, but when I hear them, I'm like, man, I'm glad I never released them songs, you know, because I never did ready, you know. But it was part of the foundation, you know, the formation of who I am today, you know. So I'm thankful for that music because it teach me, you know, how to record. It teach me how to write lyrics. You know, so those were important years for me, you know. But none of them songs ever get released, you know. The first project that I ever released um, was I was a feature on this one brethren's song, Mr. Kali out of New Mexico here in the U.S. And I sang a verse on his song, and that was in 2010. That was my first release that actually came out, you know, proper. After that, in 2011, I formed my own label, and I released a compilation, a rhythm album, you know, and that was my first official release that I produced and you know, put together, you know, and that was Reggae Soldiers Volume One, which is a project that's still going on today. You know, I just released Volume Five in January, and that one was a great learning experience. You know, because we had General Smiley from Michigan and Smiley. He was part of that release, and he was very involved in the project. You know, I mean, he had produced one of the songs, and he did three tunes on that rhythm album. Um, you know, so that was my first official release. You know, Reggae Soldiers Volume One, which was a compilation. You know, and after that, the next year in 2012, I released my debut EP, which was Life Is for Living. Um, So that was my first solo project. 2012 was when that came out. That was a 5-track EP. And honestly, man, today, even today, some of them songs I still perform because you know how it goes. When you first release your first project, um, you've been working on that all your life. So some of them songs are still today songs that I performed, like Thunder and Lightning came out in that EP. How Long, Marie. And them songs I perform on a regular basis still to this day. So that was my first official solo release.
Well, the first thing I got to say, when you come from a song system,
Hmm.
like how we used to sing on the records, that makes you a great artist. All the great artists, them, the foundation artists back in the early 60s, 70s, 80s, the Sugar Minot and all those artists, the same singer Irie, all them come from song system. You know what I'm
Sound
saying?
system.
The song system, when you come from song system, any rhythm they give you, you have to write it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and
that's the
and and
thing.
you have to be ready with the structure because the band can't just keep playing. The record gonna change whenever the chorus, and you have to come in with a verse. So when you start like that, then yeah, you're right because it really teach you how to perform. Because you can't just take a break and let the band play. You know what I mean? You have to keep going. You know what I mean? So when you first start like that, which is how I started. Just singing over tracks. Even when I start singing in front of people. With Brotherhood Sound System in New Mexico. I was doing tracks at that time. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, the sound system really teach you how to perform. You know what I mean? Because the sound system don't have no mercy. You know what I mean? So you have to come correct, or you gotta get off.
Yes, yes. And after the song system, that's why me, um, I used to be at home. I come from the country, and
Hmm.
this song system used to be like 5 miles away from where I live, but it's towards the seaside. So the wind
Hmm.
blows the song, and I used
Carry
to
it.
like I had a top bunk bed, but our house at board window you can't see through. So when the window
Oh,
closed at 6 from mosquito, you just gotta lay there. And I used to hear all these Bob Marleys and the Born in Spear and the Third World. I used to
yeah.
hear
Foundation.
them playing. So that's the thing when you sit down and take your time, like Sparky Melodies on the from the UK is there right now. He just released a new album named Tapestry. And the reason why
Okay.
I mentioned that, I'm coming back to you now. You see, you still perform some of your music. So that's the reason why you have a permanent crop. You don't have a cash crop. And when you sing permanent crop and you get great music, it's always there to stay and people always want to listen it because it's a good production and it get good value. So everywhere you go, people always you gotta take out 3 or 4 songs from your catalog, the old ones them so that people like because everywhere you go, different audience gonna love different music because you got a big catalog. You know what I'm saying? Because right now you say you see you're doing volume 5, and that's a lot of music.
True.
You know what I'm
True.
saying?
Yeah, man. Of course, like that was always the vision. There was always like a certain standard that I wanted to keep. You know what I mean? And my goal was always to create music that was gonna outlive me. You know what I mean? So that was always a standard that I held for myself. It's still to this day. You know what I mean? Like if, I've written many songs that never get released because they were never good enough. You know what I mean? But I still value them songs because every time you write a song, you learn something. Every time you write a chorus, you improve. You know what I mean? And your voice improves and all of that. So it's just part of the foundation. But yeah, there has to be a certain standard. And I've released a lot of music over the years. You know what I mean? Work with a lot of producers over the years, and you can always see the growth. Even though some of them early songs are good and they're still powerful tunes that I still perform today. I'm not really just a one-dimensional artist that does just roots or just dancehall or any kind of genre. I feel blessed that I've been able to touch on so many different types of rhythms, so many different topics, some real heavy roots, some new roots, some dancehall, some ska beats, some more hip hop influenced stuff. You know what I mean? And and to me that was a challenge, to be able to deliver something good on all of them type of rhythms. And when you see all the big artists, most of them are not one dimensional. Most of them, like if you see like a busy signal or some of these artists have been around for a long time. They could sing on the roots, they could sing on a dance hall, and they have the catalog to be able to perform to any kind of crowd. And that was always my goal. Because still to this day, when you go to certain places, some people just want to hear roots. When you go to some other places, like when I go to Colombia, Colombia loves dancehall. Like then people will tolerate some roots, but they want to dance, because the vibe down there is just a very people want
Shakira,
to dance.
Shakira. They
Yeah,
always got to move, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I
so
mean?
so I have a catalog where I can go and just tailor my catalog to go give the people what they went to see. You know what I mean? And I still sing, a couple root songs, because it's part of what I do. But I understand that that's what they want to hear, so I give them that. Some places where I go, some people just want to hear more of the roots, so I give them a real roots show. Mexico City love roots. Mexico City love roots, man. You know what I mean? So when I go down there, I give them a roots show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Yeah, man.
so yeah, you know.
It's a joy and a pleasure to see such a talented artist like you out there that I never knew about you. And when I heard about you and I started to do my research, there are some very big songs. You got a big catalog, but there are some songs that I'm very spiritual with certain music. I listen to the
Mm,
the content. It's like give thanks. When you sang that song, that was years ago, and you sang with emotion and feelings. And if I start to play give thanks tomorrow,
mhm.
people who don't know you, they're going to think it's a new song because it's ready, it's tight, it get everything inside.
Yeah.
Um, Thunder and Lightning, that's another big song. You know what I'm saying? Lyrical Dan. Lyrical Dan is a big song too. You're full of lyrics. You know what I'm saying? That's the dance side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you come to, you're going to sit back, relax, and you're born a spliff, a Texas Kush. You know what I
Texas
mean?
Push, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the newest songs, man, that I released. They just come off of my album that just came out in March. And man, really and truly, I'm not really surprised because I knew it was a big song. But sometimes it's hard to get through. You know what I mean? To reach your audience. But that song is a really big song, especially here, in Texas where I live. I've gotten a great response from that. You know what I mean? And it's a big collab. Because I got myself and five other big lyricists from here in Texas. To collaborate on a song. And them kind of songs could be a lot of them songs where you find a lot of artists. A lot of times they're not that great. Because you don't really give each artist enough time. But some way somehow that song just worked. And everywhere we play that song, people love that. So yeah, Texas Kush, that's one of the biggest tunes that come out recently. And some of those other ones that you mentioned, like Thunder and Lightning, that's a very heavy roots song that I recorded in New Mexico when I lived there. Um, and yeah, man, powerful tunes. You know what I mean? Give thanks for life. I'm glad that's a very special song to me. Because um, I wrote that for my daughter. Because my daughter, she had cancer at one point, and things didn't look good. But eventually she come through, and she was able to heal up from that. And there was one of them songs that I wrote after. after that happened, you know. So that's a really powerful song. I sing that on every one of my shows, um, still to this day, you know, because it has such a strong meaning, you know, to me, you know, and I've heard that many times, you know. Honestly, you know, I've gotten some great feedback from that song because yeah, because it means something to people, you know, and those are always the songs that get the biggest response, you know, because when you write something that people can relate to, it can be so powerful, you know. When you look at all of the songs that we love, you know, that we're big fans of, that are on our playlist every time, there's songs that mean something to me. You know what I mean? So when you can write a song that means something to other people, whoa, you know, then that could be really powerful. You know what I mean? So yeah, give thanks.
That's the beauty of writing a good song. I
True.
always say to some artists, especially artists that now coming up, if a song takes you 3 months or 4 months to write, just take your time, write the song. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So when you ready to do the production, you get a song. Don't rush it or sugarcoat it or water down the vibes. You know what I'm saying? Because reggae music is very sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And a reggae music is spiritual. You know,
True.
so when you if you were true a love of reggae music as a Rasta man or a ballad or a love reggae music, you gotta respect it because it could make you feel if you don't respect it. A lot of people sing reggae music and they never get a bus yet because you know why? They don't respect it. They just sing it. You know what I'm saying? And some people they just sing, come up with an idea and sing. But when you singing from things that happening and stories, feelings, love life, or you see something happen to somebody outside or what going on in the world, and you're spreading it through your message of reggae music, and when you go to perform, people see,
People
you know what I
feel it,
mean?
you know. More
And,
more
and, and
importantly, they feel it, you
yeah,
know.
and feel the vibes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You aren't just singing because, yes, Ross Fraser, yes, bless up. Yeah, man,
Ras Frazier.
another big artist, Ross Fraser, yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. I
Yeah,
know Ras Frazier. You know what I mean? Big respect.
yeah, good artist, big artist, bad artist too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love that song
Yeah,
with Firestar that just released recently, man. Big tune, you know? Respect.
yeah, yeah. So that's the thing with reggae music. So sometimes artists would get us. Sometimes artists would send a song to me, right? And when I send a song and I play it, I don't just go and play it on the radio. I listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there's no way to you to fit the song with the catalog of music you're playing.
True.
And they might mad that you're not playing the song. But where are you going to put it? Because it's you they're in a vibe and you vibes nice. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You're playing like an 85 or 80, BPM. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then a song come in and you make so put it together and the whole thing, like if you punch a
Yeah,
balloon,
you have to keep the energy going, you know what I
you got,
mean?
you got, you got to keep your energy. And then
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of reggae artists now they're getting lazy. They just want to sing two verse. When I say two verse, you know what I mean? Two verse. First verse, second verse. No, you gotta come with first, second, and third. You gotta. I don't like a music when sometimes you get like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. No, when the music no start gets sweet, it finish. You know what I mean?
True.
Give me 3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes and 15 seconds, 3 minutes and 20. If you could give me 4 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Himself, you got to bring back the chorus at the end of it. You know what I mean? Just make it nice. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
certain music you always want more. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you have to write powerful songs, you know? And honestly, that's why nowadays, you know, I get a lot of music sent to me, you know? But I don't always write to everything. You know what I mean? I used to try and do that, but you have to have the right inspiration, you know what I mean? So because when you don't, then the song's not going to be good, and that doesn't really do you no good, to put out a so-so song, that people not really going to feel. So a lot of times it's just not the right time. Sometimes I get some great rhythms that I love, but I don't have I don't have nothing for it, because of whatever could be going on in my day, in my week, where I don't have the inspiration to write something powerful. And some producers get vexed with me, and I try to explain to them, it's like, yo, I love the rhythm, um, but I don't have nothing for it right now. You know what I mean? And sometimes they overs and sometimes they don't. But if I don't feel a rhythm, or even if I love the rhythm, but if I don't have no lyrics for it, then I just don't write to it, because I don't want to put out music that's not great. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I definitely overs that. And I get enough of them songs, because I play on the radio too, and sometimes I get music that just don't move me, so I just can't play it.
See, you see?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, the vibes is vibes. Sometimes a lot of artists these days, right? Um, they're getting carried away with certain thing on social media. They want a buzz, and they're
mhm.
rushing it. They're rushing it. You could take your time for 6 months and do one song and get one of the biggest buzz in the world. You don't have to rush it because when it's your time, it's your time. You know what I'm saying? So
True. Yeah.
some people just want to start and they want a buzz. It does not work at that. And some artists, when things don't happen for them, they get a lot of egos too. You know what I'm saying? And within this music business, when you get egos, nobody don't want to work with you. And it's a serious thing when people start to wash them out on you and talk things that, oh, I don't want to work with him. And when people start to do that and it starts to go wrong, everybody feeling the vibes, the negative vibes. Nobody don't want no dealings to do. They won't even play your
Oh,
music.
man. And reggae music is such a niche. You know what I mean? That you can't really create a negative kind of vibe, because it's gonna follow you everywhere you go. You know what I mean? It's not like you could just turn around and then people don't know you, because then people know the last people you deal with. You know what I mean? Everybody know each other. You know what I mean? There's like all of these brethren that are tuned in. You know what I mean? I know most of them. Even if I don't know them personally, I know somebody that work with them. And that's how it go. Reggae is a small community. So you have to be somebody that people respect and trust. You know what I mean? And your word is bond. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, you're right. Some people create a negative vibe, and it follow you. So you can't really do them things.
So, how many years now have you been singing?
Well, like I said, the first songs I recorded was 2000
No.
2001.
Oh, how many
But
years now? Okay. Well, from 2010 to now. Okay, got you.
yeah, I
Yes.
mean, my first release was in 2010. But I was already performing before that. Like the first time I performed in front of a crowd was in 2005, in Sound System Vibes at that time. At that time, I didn't really have no releases, but I had songs that were my songs that I had written, that I would perform. Mostly dancehall music at the time. I didn't really get into roots until I was living in New Mexico. When I was in New Mexico, I was surrounded by a lot of Rasta brethren, and that's where I first really like get to learn, more, uh, about His Majesty and about all of the people that were involved in that roots scene. I mean, that's where I first, uh, get to know Von Benjamin and his music. And this is honestly before he was very well known all over. But there was a big influence by his music because he spent a lot of time in New Mexico. So from them times, I kind of switched from being a dancehall artist to being a roots artist, because it was just such a big influence in my life. And when you're at that young age, I was in my early 20s at that time. Um, I had just had my first youth. You know what I mean? And you start to you start to really reconsider what you think is important and what you think is valuable. Um, so there was a powerful change within me, where I started kind of looking within, because before that I was just, just enjoying myself, just living life, as most young brethren do, But when I started questioning, what's my purpose in life? What am I doing here? How am I gonna give my youths something to look up to? Something that they could say, "Yo, I'm proud of Daddy." I'm proud of what he do, what he stands for. Then you start looking within. You know what I mean? And there was a time that my music changed. That's when I wrote them songs like um, Thunder and Lightning. That's when I wrote a lot of them early, like really rootsy songs. Um, yeah, and it changed my life, because I've been singing roots ever since then, and a lot of people know me as a roots artist. You know what I mean? More recently, I do more. I don't know. I wouldn't call it dancehall, but it's definitely more towards dancehall, But for many years, people just know me as a roots artist. You know what I mean?
So I know I realize you got a lot of a collab. I see you got a song with Rankin Joe. You know?
Yeah, big tune, big tune. You know what I mean? Delivery
Yeah.
service. That one's done really well. Um, I had worked with Rankin Joe in Reggae Soldiers, the compilation, the rhythm album that was on Volume 4. I reached out to him and he did a song for me. Uh, and then like a year later, I wrote Delivery Service, and I'm like, man, I need a feature for this, because it was just the hype tune, you know what I mean? And I sent it to him, and he loved the song, and he wrote his part, man, and man, that song I knew it was gonna be a hit, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, sure enough, when we release it, it make a lot of noise, you know what I mean? Or they make a lot of give me a lot of great feedback from that. Probably my biggest song at the time, when we released that. And I took my videographer Japi. We went down to link with Rankin Joe out in Florida, and we shot the video for it. I mean, which helped to promote that
Push
song,
him
because
views.
now we have some visuals, so it took it even further, and still to this day, that's I can't leave the stage without singing that song, People love
Yeah.
that song.
Sometimes when you write a song or you're writing songs, you just feel the one them they're gonna hit. You just
Mm,
feel the vibes. You just feel it. Yeah. Even though you're writing songs, there's one or two, and you say, okay, I got this. I know this one is
hmm
this one gonna carry the load. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely one of them.
Yeah. I see you got a lot of collab. Some of these artists that you collab with, how comfortable and what is the full enjoyment of working with them?
Well, I stayed away from collabs for a long time, because I wanted, like, for example, if you listen to the album Give Thanks for Life, there's 14 songs on there, and I believe there's one or two features, and that was purposely done that way because I didn't want to ride nobody's coattails. I didn't want to like collab with a big artist so I could boost myself up. I wanted to gain the respect of the people by myself. And and that album had some powerful tunes. Like Give Thanks for Life, Rastafari Way. Some of them songs.
I
You
love Give
know,
Thanks. I love Give Thanks. Give Thanks is a big, big song.
yeah, you know what I
When
mean.
I listen to it, I'm like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah, man,
You know
that's
what
a
I'm saying?
powerful song because it was a powerful situation I was living through.
Message.
So that gave me, the inspiration to be able to write a powerful tune. But then in recent years, I would say like the last 3 or 4 years, um, I've just had these opportunities, to collab with some bigger artists, and I felt like I was ready for that. I felt like, okay, people, maybe not everybody know me, but some people know me. They respect the works that I've done, and then these opportunities come up, and you know how it go, man. Once you do one big tune, then other people are more willing to work with you, you know. And that's definitely true, man, because I started doing collabs with, like with the brethren and the people that are accessible to me,
They
in
come, they
art.
come, they come looking for you when they hear the vocals. They say, "Let me go look for Sgt Remo. Let me go look for the artists because people hear your work, and you got a bell tone, you got a powerful vocal. Speaking, your vocals are very strong, and
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
know
a it's a
it
unique
build up
voice.
from time to time. It's an inborn concept. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I have a unique voice, I mean, I don't really sound like I would. I don't know. There's definitely influences, of course. General Smiley has been a big influence, in my music and in just in my life, as a person, because that's my one of my mentors, my teachers, So General Smiley was probably the first big artist that I did a collaboration with, and I've done several collaborations with General Smiley over the years. Um, More recently, I did a collab with Lutan when he had come to Texas, you know what I mean, and we had linked, and of course, we did a song. I couldn't pass that opportunity up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Lutan is
Yeah,
Lutan is a big artist right now. Lutan mashing up the Philippines and those locations. You know what I mean? Yeah,
okay,
Lutan working
wow.
hard. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, that
Lutan
Bridget
working hard.
is always on the move. Big respect to Lutan. You know what I mean? Big artist. Blessed me with a collab that did really well. And that song still get a lot of play today. I've done a couple different songs with Chizzy Deck.
That's a good
Um,
art. That's a big artist, you know, and that's an
yeah,
underrated. That's an underrated artist, you know. Leave the trees
man,
and
so
let
many
them
hits.
grow.
Man, he has so many hits. You know what I mean? And I've been blessed. I've been able to have him come out to Texas these last few years. He's come over here 2 or 3 times, and we've been able to collaborate a lot. You know what I mean? I we went down to Mexico City, which was his first time in Mexico, and we put on a really nice show down there. And I just been blessed. Chesedek is a good brethren. You know what I mean? Somebody I respect a lot. And has blessed me with some really great music, some great collabs. Um, and we just build a vibe. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. That's them things just kind of happen. You know what I mean? And the more we
so,
work, the
so
more that
your fan base,
yeah.
where your fan base really is, right? Your fan base.
Well, I think I have a good foundation here in Texas, because I've been living here in San Antonio, in Central Texas since 2014. Um, I had moved away from Texas for a long time. I lived out in New Mexico, California, Florida, but then I came here again. So I think Texas is always going to be a strong foundation for me, as far as I mean, I don't really call it a fan base, but I play a lot, so people know my music, people support the music, and I've collaborated with almost every reggae artist in Texas, so it's a community that's building, and Texas is a big place, Texas have a lot of people,
I
so
used I used to work with Stevens Transport. So
okay,
yeah, so I spent 2 years in Texas. I know a lot
okay,
of
so you're
places in
in Texas,
Texas. You know, the speed limit is 80. You know what I'm saying? The roads are
yeah,
wide and nice. You know, pretty. You
yeah,
see what I'm
they're
saying?
nice.
Yeah, man. I used to drive them big trucks, tractor trailer. Yeah,
Okay, so you know the run-ins over here, man,
yeah, I used to go all over California, Arizona, um,
yeah,
to the Texas border. You know what I mean? The same
yeah.
location that you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah. All of these
yeah.
areas, what I mean? Like I've been working California for many years. Um, I would say the Southwest, what I mean? When it comes to where people know me the most here in the US, it'd be Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, because I've worked that scene for many years, over the years. But really, really and truly, my biggest fan base is in Mexico. You know, Mexico. When I look at the numbers, you know, for where people listen to me, they listen to me in Mexico, Chile, Colombia. You know, those are the U.S. Of course. You know, those are the top four countries. You know, that really listen to my music. You know what I mean? Regional. You know, because the U.S. is huge. You know, as you know. You know, but
Yes.
the southwest of the U.S. And then I've been going to Mexico for the last 10 years. I've been going every summer. I go down there and I do a tour, and it's paid off, man. Because my biggest fan base is Mexico. You know what I mean? The U.S.
So,
Yeah,
when you play at Mexico, sorry for cutting you,
mhm.
but I gotta ask a question. When you
Yeah.
perform at Mexico, what's the crowd capacity?
Well, it depends where you play. You know what I mean? Mexico City has a really strong reggae scene. You know what I mean? There's this one club that's been going for many years called Cultural Roots, and that's right in downtown Mexico City, in the historic district. And you know that place go on from Wednesday through Sunday. You know, and them brethren pack the place from Wednesday through Sunday. You know, minimum really the minimum crowd you're gonna see there is like 400 or 500 people. You know, and when it get full, because this is a three-story place, and they have music on every floor. And when it gets full, man, it's like every floor is full, you know. So you'll have like 1,000 people in there sometimes. Uh, you know, so that's probably one of the biggest venues in Mexico, you know. And I've played there a lot over the years, you know what I mean. So, but you know, Mexico City is a big city, man. You know,
Yeah, really
22 million,
huge.
you know, it's like 22 million people there, you know what I mean. So 400 people is not really that much people, you know, but it's like a normal crowd. Um, So yeah, you know that's the kind of range, you know, that you're never really gonna play to an empty room down there, you know.
Yeah. So, Colombia now. When you go to like tour places like Colombia, what the crowd
Sure.
capacity?
Colombia has a smaller scene, you know, even though Bogota city is a big city. It's about 10 million people in Bogota, but the scene is a little smaller. You know what I mean? Reggae is especially roots reggae. You know what I mean? It's not as big as like dancehall. You know, like them people love to dance, brethren. When I tell you that they want to dance and dance, then you know what I mean. So it's a different kind of vibes there. You know what I mean. If I was a dancehall artist, I think it'd be much stronger. But they still support what I do, you know, very well. I'm actually going down there next month, and I'm gonna perform at an event that is an outdoor event in this amphitheater. And I was there last year. I didn't perform last year, but I was there, and there was a couple thousand people there. You know, so this next month I'm gonna be down there performing at that same venue. So I think it's gonna be a big crowd, you know, for that event. You know, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to
man. It's a joy and a pleasure for spreading the reggae music all over the world and going to these different cities, especially the South American city, especially the Spanish-speaking country that you're going into there and spreading these words and people gravitating onto it. Yo, I want to say give thanks to that, man. And kudos to you.
it.
Just
Yeah, and then Brethren been working for a long time, you know. So honestly, you know, it's the scenes are there already. You know what I mean? They just welcome me, you know, and receive me, you know, very well, you know. But it's really the foundation that them brethren set down there for many years, because the sound system culture just keeps growing, you know, in Latin America. Like every time I go down there, it's just bigger and bigger, you know. So you know, yeah, man, you know what I mean. I'm glad to be able to go down there and do what I do, you know what I mean, and people actually, you know, show up and show love, you know what I mean, and respect what I do, you know, and support it, you know.
so how did 2024? I know it's already gone. So how did it work out for you? 2024. How was it?
2024 was really busy, man. I played a lot. I released a lot of music last year. I released, I think, like 12 singles last year. I was trying to do a single a month. I think I missed one month. Um, and I did a lot of touring. Like in January, I actually went down there in December, but I came back in January. I was in Chile, and that was my first time in Chile.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
and yo, like I was really amazed, because like when I went down there, the people down there tell me like, well, the scene's not very strong, and people don't really support it and things. But when I went down there, man, we had some really good shows, and they have a few sound systems over there. I played with a few sound systems. I played some stage shows. I was busy down there, man. Made a lot of links, recorded some new music. So yeah, man, I'm just thankful, to be able to go down there and share a little bit of the works that I do, and build with the people that are already in the local scenes, doing their thing, because there's a lot of talent everywhere.
It's a joy, it's a joy, it's a joy and a pleasure, man, because when you could go to those places and spread the reggae music, you gotta say give thanks, man, because you don't know. Reggae music, like I said, it's just opening, you know what I mean? A reggae music is here to stay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
So
I have to go down there. It's like it's always been a goal of mine to touch down in all the Latin American countries. Because those are my people. So so I need to go down there and do the works. I want to go to Brazil. I want to go to Costa Rica. And all of them things are gonna happen soon, man. You know what I mean? You know,
yeah,
Jagai,
When you go to Brazil, bro, then you're gonna see the biggest crowd of your life because Brazil love reggae, bro.
Brazil
They
is
love
is a
reggae.
big market for reggae music, man.
Big, 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 big. A lot of people don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man,
A
Brazil,
big, big
when it comes
market.
to Latin America, Brazil is the biggest market, you know what I mean? And I'm working my way towards it, man, because you have to build it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even going down to Mexico, I tried going down to Mexico for many years before I actually get to go. But, you know, when people don't know you, they don't, you might not have a lot of music out, it's hard to sell, you know, to sell that. So you have to build up your catalog, you have to build up, your reputation. People got to be able to see you and know you. You know what I mean? And I'm working on that. And there's still a lot more to be done.
Well, after this interview, a lot of people already know you. A lot of people are already Googling and doing the search. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
Sgt Remo, reggae superstar out of Texas. You know what I mean? Mexican American born, spreading the reggae music all over the world. You know what I'm saying? It's a joy and a pleasure to meet you. You know what I mean? You
Same
down to
with you.
earth, and I love the vibes. You know what I'm saying? Um, you got a show coming up now, Austin Reggae Fest. So tell me something about what's going on with this show.
Well, Austin Reggae Fest is a festival that's been going on here in Texas for the last 30 years. This year is their 30-year anniversary. And I always heard about it. I always wanted to be part of it. These last 3 or 4 years, I've been blessed to be able to bring my sound system, because I have a sound system called King Remo Sound System. And I've been blessed to bring my sound system over there for the last few years. And it just keep getting bigger. You know what I mean?
Your friend Gucci Boss is on the line, there, man. You know Gucci Boss, Ryan Linton.
Gucci Boss. Yes, man. Yeah, big shout out. Big shout out Gucci Boss. You know what I mean? Good brethren,
Yeah,
we just link last year we linked down here, he was out here in
yeah, you went. Yeah, I know when you went in Texas last year. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
a rate.
yeah, man. Enough
Yeah,
works. He was
yeah.
on the last on volume 5 that I just released. He
Oh,
did a collaboration with Soulfire, another
that
Guyanese
that.
brother
Yeah,
out of Houston.
yeah, Gucci Boss. That's good. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
my brethren, man. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
man.
That's love.
He calls me every morning, or send me a message every morning, every single
Okay.
morning.
That's love, yo.
Yeah. So we back to this the Austin reggae fest.
Yeah, man. So we have this thing called Charlie's Dub Corner, which is the flyer that you're showing right now. And
Hmm.
Charlie's Dub Corner is something that's been going on for a long time. It's like a separate section from the main stage, but it's more of a sound system thing. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of selectors. You know, you have some vocalists like me, you know, who are gonna perform. This year is probably the biggest one yet. You know what I mean? They have Vibronics coming in, and you know, it's always been kind of a like a regional thing. You know, a whole heap of selectors come in and just play music all day, hold a vibe, you know, and you know, you have the DJs that come and get on the mic, you know, and just nice up the session, you know. So we're doing it this year again, you know, and it just keeps getting bigger, you know. So I'm excited for that. I'm not playing on the main stage this year. I've played there before, but this year it didn't come together, you know. But we're gonna be there all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm gonna have the sound system there, and I'm gonna be performing on Saturday with McPullish, you know, which is the brethren that puts it all together, you know. So big shout out to McPullish, man. The brethren celebrating 20 years, you know, of doing of producing music, you know what I mean, and you know, I'm glad that I know the brethren for so long. You know, we've had a lot of collaborations through the years, and you know, we always link, you know, and do some works together, you know. So yeah.
So you got your own band. How much members consistent with the band? How many members?
It's a 5-piece band, you know what I mean? Um, you know, the basics, you know, I have my drummer, bass, guitar, and then I have two people that play horns, you know. One of them is my son, you know what I mean? So I always feel blessed, you know, to be able to share the stage with my son, you know, and you know, it's a special thing, you know, so I'm happy for that.
Trust me. It's a, so you have a I got some friends out there. They're from Miami. You ever reach out with a band named Drifting Roots?
Yeah, yeah, them brethren come through Texas a lot. They're actually gonna be here next month.
The
You know
the
what I
the
mean?
the bass players, my brethren. Yeah,
Okay, good people,
yeah,
man. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Them brethren
yeah.
are on the road a
Z-
lot, man. They
Z-
put in some
Z-
work.
Zion. Yeah,
Yeah,
they do 100 shows last year. 100 shows they did
yeah,
last year.
them brethren are serious, man. I see them here, you know, a couple times. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, great brethren. You know what I mean? Love it,
Yeah,
love the work.
I just one of my artists he get a beat out. I put one of my artists on it. Two artists
Uh-huh.
they get a beat coming out. So I put two of my artists on their project.
Oh,
But
nice.
Zion calls me every morning too because I interviewed Zion like last year, and from I interview him,
Yeah, yeah, them brethren
doing
working hard, man, and I see
they do
them. They
right.
doing bigger shows every time. You know what I mean? So big
Yeah,
respect to
yeah,
them brethren. You know,
yeah. Drifting roots, man. My brethren, them. You know what I mean?
humble
Yeah,
brethren. You know what I mean?
real nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah,
man. I have to big him up, man, cause him cool and
yeah,
just like you, down to earth. You know, wicked
yeah,
bass player. You know, yeah, play the bass.
yeah. I'm
So
glad, you know.
yeah. So with that said and done, now like, are you independent?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything I've released, well, you know, I've worked with other people, but my label is the majority of my catalog is in King Remo Music. You know what I mean? Because I started as an independent, you know, and it wasn't really by choice, you know, because in them times when I first started recording, I would be reaching out to people to try and get on a rhythm album, to try and get on a feature, to do this and that. But nobody really know me, you know, so I never really get too much love back then. So that's why I started Reggae Soldiers Volume 1 because I'm like, well, I have to put out some music somehow. So, you know, I started my label and from them times, you know, when you figure out how to do all of these things, then it wouldn't make sense for me to give my music to somebody else or give 50% of my music to somebody else, you know what I mean? So
You worked too hard for that. I was just speaking to big up show no mercy promotion. Yes,
yeah,
Tracy Christie, I love you like cook food. You know what I'm telling you?
yo,
Because
for
Tracy
real, yo,
Christie,
big shout out.
she give me all the greatest artists them right now. You know, I
Mhm.
just speak to Empress Minot Sunday,
Yeah,
and she's independent. And I tell any independent artist, when you go through all those struggles and tribulation, don't make no label come and tell you, well, okay. Because when they hold you, they lock you off, you can't do nothing, you have to wait on them. But when you're your own boss, you do what you feel like. Because the things that I'm doing, I'm independent. I do this off my own.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's the best way
This,
to do it, man. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, I could turn this out anytime. Nobody ain't got to tell me, like, okay, you get 5 minutes more or 3 minutes more or time up showing me signs and all these
Yeah,
things. This is
yeah, you
me.
know.
This is me and you show. You know what I'm saying? And I enjoying the vibes. Show No Mercy promotion. Tracy Christie making me to. She told me so much about you. She told me how long she know you, and
Long
that woman,
time,
she's such a sweetheart, man. You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
Since I started working with her, it's a joy and a pleasure. You know what I mean? She
I
just
love that.
cool, and I got to big her up on national television, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll
man. Big
trace,
respect to Tracy, man. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Every
man.
time, because
That
you know
that's
she linked
somebody that
me.
that love music. You know what I mean? And coming on this platform, bro, you never know who this be looking. You get people from the UK, Australia, um, Africa. There's so much people be looking
Love
at
that.
looking at this platform.
Yeah, man. You're
And
doing good things, man. You know.
yeah, man, thanks very much. And with like for bookings and things, how could people get in contact with you, your information? What's your social media platform look like?
Sgt Remo, SGT Remo. You can find me anywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah, Sgt Remo. You can reach out to me on the social media platforms. You know, it's primarily, you know, my email is sergeant.remo@gmail.com. You know, yeah, man. Yeah, link up. You know what I mean? I respond.
If they can't link you, they could link me and talk to Tracy. Tracy talk to you. You know what I
Sure.
mean? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man. We're ready to work. You know what I mean? So,
We done
you
work.
know,
We done start working already. You know what I'm saying? So, how is this summer look for you when it's come to bookings? Have you got a lot of bookings already for
things
this
are
summer?
looking good. You know what I mean? We're doing Austin Reggae Fest next weekend. The weekend after that, I'm doing a small festival in Houston. And then in June, we're doing, well, in May, I'm going to Bogota, Colombia. And then in June, I'm doing another festival in Corpus Christi down, you know, down in South Texas. Um, and that's what I have right now. You know, I might be going to Mexico in July, um, and that's what's running so far. Well, I'm forgetting the biggest one yet, you know, which is Remo Fest. You know, that's happening in September. You know, that's a festival that I've been putting together for the last few years. It was a small thing before, you know, but it just keeps getting bigger.
So
Uh,
that's your show. That's your personal promotion.
yeah, that's Remo Fest. You know what I
So
mean? Remo
so
Fest
um
2025.
just send me invitation. Let me come MC for you. You don't have to pay me.
Okay. Yeah, I love
I
that.
come send me. I come open the show. You know what I mean? Just send me an invitation, bro. Send it
That
to
sounds
you.
awesome.
If you don't get me, call Show Mercy Promotion. You know what I'm saying? I'm here.
Okay.
Just let me know.
Yeah,
Let
I
me
love
know.
that, man. That'd be love.
Let me know early, man. I'll be there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, man.
I,
That's
will-
September
I,
20th. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's what's on the schedule so far. You know what I mean?
It got a Jah is great, man. You see, that's what I say to artists. As a reggae artist or a dancehall artist, just make sure that the lyrical content that everybody could listen it, and people gonna keep booking you, and you know what I mean. Like your
Yeah, man. Keep
songs,
working.
you making, I could call it permanent crops. You know what I mean, it's not cash crops. And
No.
thanks, I want to say thanks very much again for putting out such a great music and have such a great audience. I hope that one of these days I can invite you to come. I'm living in Newark, New Jersey,
Okay.
and I got my brethren, Ras Redemption. Um, he has his label, I got my label, but that's my brother. We work together. You know what I'm saying?
Rest redemption.
We got our first project we working on right now, but he got songs out there. Um, he do two songs on Drifting Roots Rhythm too because I
Okay.
hooked them up. Yeah, he do two songs.
Nice.
So Rush Redemption. Anytime if you need a opening act, just let me know and I'm sending him like open do two
I have
songs
to
so you
come
know
over
and
there,
stuff.
man. I haven't been
Yeah,
over there in a minute, man. You know what I mean? I've been there a couple times, but you know, not enough. You know, I need to go up to. to all of them areas soon, you know?
If you got any show and you need a artist or a different artist to open, just give me a link, man. You know what I mean? I'll
You know
send my
everybody
brother
over
down there.
there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure, you know?
It was one love. You know what I mean? You know, come down
Every time.
Texas. So I haven't been to Texas in a while. You know, a couple of years because my job that I'm doing now is kind of different. You know,
Okay.
so I don't really get a time. But I got vacation. I got a lot of vacation coming up in November.
All
But
right.
if there's a weekend and you got a show, just let me know. I'll make some time and come out there, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'll come and MC for you, fly in and do the show and
Remo
just
Fest,
fly
man,
back.
September 20, man. Put it on your calendar, you
Yeah,
know?
put me on the flyer. I sent him a photograph. Put me on the flyer, bro.
All
DJ
right.
Bigger the Teacher will be there, man.
Like we
Yeah,
reason some more on that, you know what I mean? We make it happen,
yeah,
you know? For
yeah,
sure.
man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Give thanks, man. You don't have to
Same way,
pay
my
me,
brother.
bro. Trust me. You don't have to pay. I'm coming. That's
That's
your
good.
that's your gift for spreading the reggae music. You know what I'm saying? Let me
That's
come and
love.
preach, give them a different vibes to the audience, you know, and see somebody
True.
different, you know. Sometimes you gotta
Yeah,
try
for sure.
different things. You know, you never know. You gotta surprise to them, and you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, man. I love that. I love that.
yeah, man. So it's a joy and a pleasure. Thanks for having you. Thanks for making
Thanks, my
everything
brother.
possible. Big up on the Austin Reggae Fest. You know what I mean?
Give thanks, you know?
You got my number. Don't be a
Yeah, man.
stranger.
We'll keep your
Anytime,
link, my brother.
anytime. If you don't get me, just leave me a voice note.
For
Or
sure, you know?
get out to Show No Mercy promotion. I have a big shop all the time, you know. Tracy Christie. That's my
With
dupes.
respect. Yeah,
Yeah, respect our man as well. Bless up.
sure.
Give thanks and praise, man, unto the Most High Jah
Give thanks, my brother.
Rastafari. You know what I mean?
Rastafari.
Yeah, man.
Anytime. Every
Love and
time.
happiness. Yeah, man. Give thanks.
Yeah, man.
That's it for you, Sgt Remo. Go and check out his musical platform. His music is an all digital platform. If you want to listen to some of the music, go into YouTube. You have some mix up there. Get a very big catalog. You can't finish it. It's going to take a while for you to
The
stop
whole heap of videos, man, you
a
know?
whole heap, you know what I mean? So thanks
Yeah.
very much for putting in the work again. Thanks very much for
Cool,
coming.
brother.
Kudos, respect and manners.
Respect, my brother.
Yes,
Give
sir.
thanks for
Give
the time,
thanks.
right?
Yeah, man. Full joy.
Bless it.
Yes.